You know, a story is kind of like a living thing, isn't it? The second it leaves your lips, it takes off. It travels, it changes, it gets a life of its own. So today, we're gonna peek behind the curtain and really get into the secret mechanics of one of the most powerful and honestly most misunderstood stories there is, the rumor.
Okay, so to get our heads around this, let's go all the way back to the playground. You remember that game Telephone, right? Or maybe you called it Chinese Whispers? The whole idea was super simple. You start with a secret,
And that secret gets whispered from one person's ear to the next, all the way down the line. And of course, what happens by the time it gets to the last person? The original message is almost always warped into something totally different, usually something completely ridiculous. Well, that simple little game, it's a perfect, tiny model of how rumors work out in the real world. All right, so let's leave the playground behind for a second. For like 100 years, smart people have been trying to nail down what a rumor actually is. I mean, if you strip away all the fluff, what is it at its core?
so here it is, the classic academic definition. Now, let's actually break that down, because it's a mouthful. A proposition for belief. Okay, that just means it's a story that's asking you to believe it. Topical reference. That means it's about something current, something happening right now. And here's the absolute key part. Disseminated without official verification. In other words, there's no official stamp on it. No one in charge is saying, yep, this is true. It's just out there.
So that begs the question, right? If these stories are totally unverified, why on earth do they spread like wildfire? Well, the answer isn't really about facts or information. It's all about emotion. Turns out, rumors aren't just mistakes in communication. They're actually serving a really deep, really human psychological need. And to understand that, we have to go back in time. The first really big study on rumors happened during one of the most uncertain times in modern history, World War II. A psychologist named Robert H. Knapp collected and analyzed over 1,000 rumors that were flying around to figure out, what was the point? What were these stories actually doing for people during a massive crisis? And what he found was really incredible. Okay, so yeah, we know rumors spread by word of mouth, and sure, they pretend to be information. But the real driver, the engine behind it all, is that third point. Rumors express and gratify the emotional needs of the community. Think about that. They're a way for a whole group of people to process what they're feeling all at once.
And this is where it gets super interesting. Knack broke these rumors down into 3 main types, all based on emotion. First, you've got your pipe dream rumors. These are all about hope. Things like, hey, I heard Japan's almost out of oil, the war's gonna be over soon. Then you have bogey rumors, which is the exact opposite. They're all about fear and anxiety. An enemy attack is coming any day now. And then there are the really nasty ones, wedge-driving rumors. These are designed to split people apart, to make you distrust your neighbors.
Okay, so that explains why rumors spread. But what about how they actually change as they move from person to person? Well, another huge study came along and dug into that exact question. Yeah, just a few years later, in 1947, a couple of psychologists, Gordon Allport and Leo Postman, did this landmark experiment. Their goal was basically to put the game of telephone under a microscope and watch step by step how a story physically changes. And what they discovered was just wow. Get this. On average, a story loses 70% of its details within the first 5 or 6 times it's retold. 70%. I mean, most of the original story just evaporates almost instantly. But here's the thing, it's not random. They found it happens in 3 predictable stages. First is leveling. That's when the story gets shorter and simpler because people drop details. Next comes sharpening. The few details that do survive get highlighted and even exaggerated. And then, the most powerful one of all, assimilation. This is where we unconsciously twist the story to make it fit with our own biases and expectations. And check out this classic example of assimilation from their study. It is just perfect. They showed people a drawing of a battle. In that drawing, there was an ambulance, and it was very clearly carrying boxes marked TNT. But what happened when people had to recall what they saw? Almost everyone remembered the ambulance carrying medical supplies. Why? Because that's what ambulances are supposed to carry. Our brains just automatically corrected the detail to fit what we expect, totally ignoring the actual evidence. It's wild.
All right, so let's jump forward to right now, because obviously the internet has put this whole rumor process on steroids. Everything's faster, it reaches way more people, but it's also changed the fundamental function of a rumor.
Yeah, it's not just about spreading things faster. It's not just about our hopes and fears anymore. In the digital age,
a rumor has become a tool. It can be a tool for trying to understand the world, and yeah, it can be a tool for causing complete chaos.
And just take a look at this. A study from back in 2004 looked at online rumor discussions and found something that might surprise you. The number one reason people were talking about rumors, almost 30% of the conversation, was for sense-making. They weren't just blindly spreading stuff. They were actively trying to figure things out together, to sort out what was real.
This really changes how you think about rumors, doesn't it? As the researchers put it, it's a collective explanation process. It's a bunch of people, online, basically trying to solve a puzzle when the official pieces are missing. But that instinct we have, that very human need to solve the puzzle together, well, that can be taken advantage of. It can be weaponized.
In fact, there's a term for it now in strategic circles, a narrative IED. That stands for improvised explosive device, and the idea is exactly that. It's when a rumor is built and planted on purpose, like a bomb, just to cause chaos, disrupt things, and make people distrust everything. So, okay, we've gone through the history, the psychology, and the scary modern version of rumors. So what's the big takeaway here? What do you really need to remember? Let's boil it down to 3 key things. Number 1, rumors aren't random noise. They're basically an emotional weather report for a community, telling you what people are hoping for and what they're afraid of. Number 2, they are never static. They are always changing, getting shorter and bending to fit what we already think. And number 3, today online, they are a total double-edged sword. They can be a tool for collective problem solving, but they can also be a weapon designed to create chaos. Which really leaves us all with a pretty big question, right? In this absolute ocean of noise, how do we find the signal? Knowing that these stories are born from our own feelings and shaped by our own biases, how do any of us get better at telling the difference between the stories we want to be true and the stories that actually are?